What's up? Um, I guess I'm feeling called to just get on and talk this morning. Um, Maybe even from my own self, just to talk it out, and just remembering and learning the power of empathy, and almost like to me, before anything can happen, before change can happen, I really believe that we're forgetting empathy. We're forgetting that we each have a heart. That it's not hard to know somebody else's heart because you have one too. Of course, I'm feeling super sad about all the bad stuff that happens in the world. These killings and the parents. I guess I just am having intuition to tap into empathy. Just imagine what it would be like, what it could be like. To think that it could never happen to your kids, it could never happen to your family, it could never happen to your neighbor. And they do it, and it happened. And life happened. Life has tragedies. But for me, I think social change, sorry, my voice is dry. Politics, all that stuff, yes, I think it's important. Yes, I do think there needs to be change, and something's got to be done. We can't sit around and be complete hippies and just be like, wow, it's really sad, and just be so present with it. But that's part of it too. I really believe like we're all striving to be heard, to know that what we're going through matters, and that somebody can relate to that. And for me, just even with kids, with strangers, with anybody I know, when you make that connection, whatever it takes to make a connection, and I'm calling it empathy, but it doesn't have to be that complicated. However I can let somebody know that I either know what it's like to be in their shoes, or I'm guessing, and I'm at least giving the time, my attention to wonder about what it's like. And the thing about empathy that I've learned too, some people know that I'm involved in compassionate communication, also known as nonviolent communication. But I don't talk about it a lot, because it's just like, I don't want to come across as like what I think people should do, or that I know something. I know I don't know anything. The longer I live, the more I realize, the less I know. But we talk a lot about empathy, use empathy as almost a mantra tool. And it's for connecting and hearing people. And also self-empathy for myself. And empathy, for me, it's just like I get thrown off with like big words. I know empathy is not a big word, but it seems like it has so much like weight to it. But for me, how I can simplify it is just like, what's important to this person? What's important to him? What's important to me? So when I'm trying to give myself self-empathy, I think of like, what's the important thing? We also talk about needs. I'm not talking about needs like, I need you to stop doing what you're doing because it's bothering me. I'm talking about needs like love, safety, acceptance, food, shelter, Those type of needs. Universal needs that we all can relate to. Doesn't matter what political party you're from. It doesn't matter your life story, your history. We all can agree on these type of needs. And going back to empathy, when guessing, when just being curious. When somebody doesn't jump in and they either call these empathy blockers, they give you advice, they say, oh my gosh, I feel so sorry for you. It almost seems like empathy. It's sympathy. It really almost makes it about the other person. Or they do like the one-uppers. We all know them. We've all done it. I do it all the time. Like, oh, I know somebody that's got it worse than you. You'll be fine. You'll get through this. And I'm not bringing all this up because I think empathy blockers are bad. They're not bad. It's just awareness. It's just like, wow. I see how much that does not connect to me when somebody does that to me. I wonder if somebody else feels that same way when I do that thing to them. It's just like awareness. Yeah, we can't change everything in one day. Like, what is it about being human that we just want to lose weight in one day, want a new car in one day? We want to change our whole lifestyle in one day, change all our eating habits in one day. And then after one day, we're disappointed that we can't see the change. And in my experience, a lot of people know my experience, like with 12-step program and sobriety, it's just like nothing happens in one day. Nothing happens in that type of expectational way. You know what I mean? It's like taking little chunks and doing it over and over and over. And we don't realize, we don't see the big picture change until, you're in front of it and you look back and you connect the dots. That's the mystery of life. We don't know what happens when we die. That's the one thing. We'll never know. We don't know. I want to go back to empathy for a second, that it's totally okay to be wrong about empathy. I almost like being wrong with somebody else. If I go, oh man, I'm imagining, like, that must just be so frustrating what you're going through. It must be so painful. You must feel like, you're not accepted. Is that it? You check it out with the person, and the person goes, no, that's not it at all. It's this. See what I mean? It's like most of us never know. We don't know what's going on in us, right? We just have reactive thoughts. It's spewing out all over the place. Like, I have empathy for that. Like, I know what that's like. I stay quiet most of the time because of that fact. Because I know I'm not even navigating what's going on inside of me. I'm in such a reactive spot that I know it's not healthy. I know it's not healthy. And yet, I still make mistakes. And I accept that. But what the empathy does, even for myself, is I wonder, about those needs I was talking about, i.e. what's important to me. So I wonder, like, why I want to make more money. Is it ego? Is it because I want to have nice shit where everybody realizes it? I don't think so. When I ask myself, I go, what need could be behind that? The first thing I go to is safety. I want to have financial security for my kids, for my family. I don't want that burden. And I have to be honest with myself too, that there's more. There's more to it as well. There are ego things involved, and I try my hardest not to beat myself up about it. I just go, wow, I noticed that it's there, and I don't know what to think about it. I don't know what to do with it, right? But if somebody were here with me and they're guessing these things, they're like, oh, I bet, I don't even want to come up with an example, but you can think of it. They're guessing these things, and although they might not resonate with me, or they might resonate with me in a way that I'm just like, holy crap, I've never realized that that might be underneath what I'm feeling. But even if somebody, a guest with empathy is wrong, that's great too, because then I get more clear, right? It's all about us being being not even there for each other. It's being with each other. It's going back to that, like, I don't know you. I don't know your story, but I know you have a heart, because I have one too. I know what it's like to hurt, because I hurt too. Now, is my hurt identical to yours? Probably not. Does my hurt have some of the same qualities? Can I relate? Can we vibe in that? Right? What do you guys think? Yeah. I feel sad about all the stuff that's going on. I feel sad that the main thing that we see is the reaction, right? We don't see enough people that's just admitting that they don't know, right? Something that we can relate to. Can anybody relate to not knowing? Not just being in life sometimes and being like, what the F am I doing? You know, like, everything's falling apart. I question everything. I do that all the time. Now, I know that would be a little scary if the president did that or something, but wouldn't it be relatable? Wouldn't, if he just said, you know what? I'm trying my best, and I don't know the perfect way, but I'm doing every single thing that I know possible in my resource to come up with a plan to value human life. Right? All the other stuff is distractions. When we get all into this reaction, it's distractions. It's addicting too. You know? I was talking to a good friend of mine about tension, not attention, tension. We like it. I speak for myself. I won't say it to you, but I think I like it. I like it in my relationships. I like it in my finances. I'm used to it, right? I've been so used to it that it's like really bad food. I'll get so used to it that without it, it's like withdrawal, right? It's just like, oh, my life's going good. I'm like, how? You know, I don't consciously do this, but subconsciously, I find myself going, how do I mess this up? I want to mess this up because I'm used to tension, you know? And until I realize that's crazy, that's really crazy, and it's painful. It's self-inducing pain. It's sabotage. Then, until I have that awareness, I can't change. I can't change if I'm completely unaware. You know, we can't change policy. We can't change how people feel. We can't change racism unless we are aware. Racism and that type of thing. That's such a learning experience. I would say for every single white person, Caucasian person. And more than that, you know, but I'm just speaking for myself. Like, there's so much I didn't know that I don't know. And there's so much I grew up with that's ingrained in almost like my DNA of privilege type stuff that I just didn't know. I don't know. There's still more I'm discovering. But there's no way that I could ever change that if I don't look internally, sit quiet, sit with the uncomfort, right? Not numb all that shit. That's what I used to do. I still do it in ways, But if I'm numbing about 30% less than I ever did, let's look at that as a business decision, right? If this year you waste 30% less money, that's a pretty good improvement, right? If I'm 40% more complete honest in my life, that's a huge improvement. Why do we want to do it all in one day? It's crazy. It's crazy. It just doesn't make sense. We all have that impulse. We want to change everything one day. Hell yeah. And then what? Then when you change it all, what do? You go, oh, this isn't what I thought. I want to change something else. I need some more tension. I need some more attention and tension. I see you, John Silver from the UK. Appreciate your comments, man. I'm trying to see some of them, but I'm just kind of vibing out in my thoughts and in my heart. Hopefully more in my heart than my thoughts. Empathy is powerful. It's powerful with your kids. You don't got to be perfect, you know. There's not a rule book to anything. But if I'm willing to admit that I don't know, I'm a little closer to knowing, right? I'm a little closer to tapping into the intuition, to God, if you believe in God. If you don't, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. It does not matter whether God is real or not. Not to me. Because, I don't want to throw you off with that. It doesn't matter to me because that's a distraction, right? If I start analyzing whether God is real and what's the truth, like, it's a distraction, right? If you're getting healing, if you're changing the world, if you're impacting people in a positive way to better yourself and other people's life, then it's working. Whatever you're doing is working. It's the same thing to me. If it's God, if it's working out, if it's playing guitar, if it's coloring. Ellie's in there coloring right now. If that's what creates healing and lighter weight in your body, able to breathe deeper, then it's working. What's it matter if it's real or not? What does that even mean? What does real mean? What does truth mean? If I knew the truth and I told you right now, you wouldn't believe it. You know why? Because we don't trust anything. We don't even actually. Here I am tapping into like saying we. I'm saying, I'm really intending to say myself. I don't know anything. And if I heard the truth, I don't think I would believe it. I think I need to experience it. I think I would rather have somebody go, I'm not sure what your truth is. I'm not sure what the truth is. But here's my experience, you know? And yeah, Penny, I believe that too. Truth is what's in your heart, right? And that's confusing. That can be confusing because what is in our heart, you know? Like it can be real mixed with what's in here, right? What's in our ego. It's not like a shift, right? It's not like a bam, bam. At least not for me. It's a gray area, right? And the only way I have felt to tap into what is truth for me is through cutting out a huge percentage of my numbing, right? And doing it daily. Not like 2 weeks. 2 weeks is a good start. That's a grinding start. But I'm doing it as much as I can. Right? I'm creating a life that promotes more truth, that promotes more empathy, that promotes more self-reflection, that promotes honesty, that promotes love. Brian Bay, I have no idea to address doing what again. Maybe setting up, maybe what I'm talking about is setting up things in my life that can promote more truth, more love, more lighter things in my lighter, how do I say it, lighter consciousness in my body, less angst. And some of the things that I do or people that I know is, and I guess this doesn't matter. This doesn't matter to me as much. Like, I don't think anybody should copy me. I think it helps listening what other people do. That don't mean that that's necessarily true for you. Some people pray. Some people go to church every day. Some people work out every day, 2 or 3 times a day. It's not me. That's not what I have found that works for me. Some of the things that work for me is writing music, stopping and breathing. You can call it meditating. Eating healthy. Mentors. Mentors are huge. I have 2. Just running it by somebody. Check in with anybody else but myself. That's what works for me, right? Because before I was talking about tension, right? That we crave that tension, we get used to it. It's like carbohydrates. We get so used to it. It's like without it, we'll freak out. With our life going really great, kind of freak out because it's like, oh, I don't deserve this. I'm not worth this. You know, that type of thing. So whatever it is, I support it. If it's God, if it's believing in God, if it's not, if it's running, I'm just trying to think of some things that I don't do, but that works for people. If it's giving haircuts to homeless people on the street, if that creates healing, if that creates empathy, understanding, awareness, human connection, then that's working. Simple. It's as simple as, I don't mean to be like, oh, it's so simple, because it's not. Because we've all tapped into, for me, I always like to say, like accidentally, I will tap into, I'll tap into this like total truth, awareness, centeredness, presence, even in the midst of my pain or my happiness. And it's like I accidentally, and I go, and my ego comes in and goes, wait, I want to hold this forever because I'm selfish and I want to be present all the time. And so it's like I want to savor that moment, right? Of course we do. That's my ego come in. And it's fine if it does, but it's just like being a little more aware that happens. And then also paying attention to what correlates with that presence, right? With that empathetic presence, with that love, with that like connection to another human being, to care about them, to love their heart. What are some of the things that help me do that more? Because that feels good. Because I have intuition that is right. That's right for me. Like, what are the things that inspire that seem to correlate with when I'm feeling that way? What are the things for you? I mean, I can share some of mine, but to me, is that important? Why am I sharing this message? Because I'm not even thinking that much into it. Because I guess it might have rooted from being sad about hearing a parent talk about losing their children and wanting change so bad. That's one thing. 2 things, it's something I'm just thinking about all the time. I'm just like, I'm like, if I'm feeling less angst, less anger, if I'm feeling less pain in my life and more joy, I really want to share it, because I know what it's like to be in so much pain and feel like I would cut off my arm to get less pain, right? That's why I'm sharing it, because maybe me speaking out from my heart imperfectly could inspire someone. That's it. Because if it inspires one or two people, then we know what happens, right? Anyways, I've just gotten some comments. I guess that's cool too. I'm also recording this on my camera just because I feel inspired. And I don't feel inspired every day. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sharing stuff on social media, and it's not like trying to be a guru every day. I wish I could, but I'm not at all. I mean, I have just days where I'm just like in the midst of this journey, right? We're all wanting to figure it out. We're all striving, at least from what I hear, we're all striving for purpose in our life, and meaning, and love, and experience, I guess. And empathy for me is, thanks, Jeremy, man. I've been thinking about you. I really have. It popped up in my head about like that message you sent me when my dad died. I think I ran across it recently. So I just so appreciate that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Penny, your friends in the 60s? I would guess I would fit in with them because they probably had hearts, right? Like, I didn't mean that as like a smart ass thing, but I'm just saying, like, again, and I didn't come up with that message. I want to definitely say that, like, that's like Marshall Rosenberg, or I recently heard Kathleen McPherson say, like, I don't need to know your story. I actually would prefer not to, because it could be a distraction, but I know your heart because I have one too, right? That's it. And no, I can't do that all the time. That's for sure. I have to, like, come on. I have distractions. I numb my pain. I get all wrapped up in the logistics and the day-to-day life and fear. I get all wrapped. I do that. Absolutely, I do that. But what else do I do, right? Do I only share my fear? Or do I share some other things too, you know? I think that's the main point of talking on live, you know? I don't know how many people will watch this or not. I don't even care. I mean, I care, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not attached to that. Because if I were, then I would say something differently, because I would be trying to manipulate life to work for me, to work for selfish Chad, right? And yeah, I do that. I try to manipulate life to work the best for me, but I don't do it all the time anymore, right? If I'm aware of it, I would do it less. And man, it helps me to look at it as a business decision. If I can do it 20% less, then like that's a huge improvement over a year, over 2 years, over 3 years, over 4 years. That's a lot of improvement. That's a lot of being less selfish. Ellie's just staring at me. She's like, what in the world are you doing talking to your phone? Come here. What's this?
It's a card. That's a Jeep.
That's a Jeep. She knows her daddy. What do you think about empathy?
What does this mean?
Empathy?
Yeah.
It means walking, like imagining being in somebody else's shoes. Not their real shoes, but it'd be like if your friend is sad, right?
Yeah.
Sad about somebody not playing with them. And then you go, oh man, I know what that's like, because one time somebody didn't play with me. And I know how sad that must feel. Does that make sense? It's kind of like, it's just caring about somebody's feelings in a way. I'll just stay on here for a while for whatever reason. If anybody has anything. John, I know you because you saw a music video of mine and you liked it and sent me a message about it. I think that's how we met, right? I hope some of you, if you just come in now, like, if you have time to explore the world of empathy with me, rewatch it. Rewatch from the beginning, because I think I accidentally just touched on a lot of stuff. Tiffany says I do that. Like, I might go on a rampage for so long, it's hard to tap into what I might have been, to touch all the points. That's why I'm kind of scrolling through the comments here to see if anybody... Addiction is wanting to be more. Yeah, I agree. It's wanting to be something other than me. Yeah, I appreciate you all coming on and watching. Because it's just like, wow, if we can tap into our own truth, that like it is possible to make change. It's just that I can relate so much because I just want to, if I'm going to make change, I want to make a big change. I want to make the biggest change. I want to make such a big change that I can't ever make that change. That's how my mind works, right there. And then you know what I do? I sit with it right here and I just stew on it and I do nothing. That's what happens. It's crazy. But I cannot change that without saying it. Without saying, is this still on? I got a phone call in the middle. I hope you didn't hear the whole phone call. But anyways, that's kind of like the break. I got to take the kids to school. We're running late. Caden's looking at me like, come on.